Paul, the innkeeper's last guest of the year. The last few miles were the quietest. Snow had been falling since mid-afternoon. Not the driving kind that stings your face and fills your collar, but the slow, patient kind that settles on the brim of your hat and gathers in the crooks of fence posts along the lane. The fields on either side had gone completely still. No wind to speak of. No birds moving through the grey. Just your own steps, soft and rhythmic in the fresh white, and the occasional sound of a pine branch releasing its gathered weight somewhere off to your left. A muffled sigh, and then nothing. The sky above had no colour left by the time the lane curved down toward the valley. Just a pale, even grey, soft as undyed wool, with the last of the light spread through it diffusely. No source, no shadow, everything illuminated and nothing casting anything at all. You smelled the inn before you saw it. Wood smoke first, dark and sweet, the kind that comes from seasoned oak burning unhurried. Then something else beneath it, faint but unmistakable. Onion and broth and the ghost of pepper drifting uphill through the cold air to meet you. Your feet, which had been negotiating with you for the better part of an hour, made the last decision themselves and carried you down the slope, around the bend in the lane, and there it was. A low stone building, golden light pressing outward through two small windows. A wooden sign hanging from an iron arm above the door, swaying gently in no wind you could feel. At the base of the step, a boot scraper shaped like a hedgehog, worn smooth from years of use, its iron bristles still catching the last of the snowfall. You scraped your boots. The door was heavier than you expected, and the air on the other side warmer than seemed possible. You stepped through and stood for a moment in the entrance, the cold going out of your face all at once, and then slowly. A warmth you felt before you could think much else. Your eyes adjusted. Your shoulders dropped. The room was small. A low ceiling with dark beams. A flagstone floor worn pale in the path from a door to bar, with a rug in front of the hearth so faded it had become the colour of old honey. 3 tables with mismatched chairs. A shelf of cups that had clearly been collected rather than purchased, each one slightly different in size and weight. At the far end, a fire so thoroughly established it looked as though it had always been burning, and always would be. The innkeeper came through a curtain at the back. A round-faced woman of perhaps 60, hair pinned up and held in place, it seemed, partly by a wooden spoon, apron dusted with flour, moving with the ease of someone who had been welcoming cold travellers for a very long time. She took one look at you and said, "Last one, then." Not a question. She held out her hands for your coat. "Sit anywhere. Soup's still on." You sat by the fire. The chair was low and wooden with arms worn smooth at the ends. The kind of chair worn to the shape of whoever sits in it. You settled into it. The fire was close enough that you could feel it against the left side of your face, against the back of your hand, where it rested on the arm. The heat was not sharp but generous, steady and close. The logs shifted. A small orange coal fell from the grate onto the stone hearth and glowed there for a moment, round and self-contained, before going dark. The room smelled of smoke and warm stone and something faintly resinous. The wood itself, releasing something older. From somewhere deep in the building came the sound of water, and then nothing, and then the low tick of something cooling on a shelf. She brought the soup without being asked, a wide, shallow bowl, deep brown with broth, a cloud of steam rising from it. A thick slice of bread, resting against the rim, already beginning to absorb the warmth from below. She set it down on the small table beside your chair and placed the spoon next to it with a small, definitive click, as though punctuating a sentence she had written many times. "There's more if you want," she said, and went back through the curtain. You lifted the spoon. The broth was the kind of thing you imagine on evenings like this and rarely find, deeply, genuinely warm, with the taste of long cooking. Whatever she had pressed into it had long since dissolved into something whole and dark. Small, pale beans, onion, gone completely soft, something root-like and faintly sweet that you couldn't name but felt you recognized. Each spoonful arrived and settled, and you did not think about the next one until it was already on its way. Outside, somewhere beyond the stone walls, the snow was still falling. You finished the bread last, drawing it slowly through what remained in the bowl. The fire cracked once sharply. From somewhere in the inn came a small domestic sound, a drawer pulled shut, or a pot set down on a surface, the ordinary sounds of a place completing its evening. The other tables had been empty long enough that their candles had burned to short stubs, chairs tucked in at tidy angles. The whole room had the feeling of a place that had done what it set out to do, and you were the last small thing left to see to. The innkeeper returned with a candle in a small tin holder, the flame bending with her movement and then steadying. "Room's ready," she said. "Top of the stairs, first left. Bed's been aired." She looked at you for a moment in the way that people who keep inns look at travellers, straightforwardly, without drama, with a practiced warmth that has seen it all before and means it anyway. "New Year tomorrow," she added, as though reminding herself of something pleasant. "Tonight's the quiet one." You followed her to the foot of the stairs. She pressed the candle into your hand, gave you a single nod, "Good night," and enough, and turned back toward the fire. Lowering herself into the chair you had just been sitting in, picking up something from the side table, knitting, by the look of the needles catching the firelight. Her attention moved away from you entirely. It felt right. The stairs were narrow and creaked on the third step and the sixth. The walls on either side were pale plaster, slightly uneven, repaired over many years by many different hands, the surface patched and layered from long use. At the top of the landing, slightly crooked, hung a small painting. A summer meadow, the colours gone warm and faded with age, a distant farmhouse, one cloud, a yellow field. Someone had framed it carefully a very long time ago. First left. The room was low-ceilinged and clean, thick curtains already drawn, the faint ghost of cold at the edge of the glass behind them. A washstand with a white jug and basin, water still holding a little warmth. A wooden chair with your coat draped over the back. She must have brought it up while you were still at the soup. Some quiet efficiency you hadn't noticed. A small radiator against the far wall, ticking to itself. And the bed. The quilt was shades of blue and grey, heavy-looking from across the room, and heavy in the hand when you pulled it back. The pillowcases were cool at first, the way good linen always is, and then warming the moment you lay down against them. A faint smell rose from the fabric. Lavender, cedar, something long kept, the smell of a room well looked after. You set the candle down on the nightstand. For a moment, you simply lay there in the low light, in the small room, in the inn at the end of the lane, on the last quiet evening of the year. The ceiling above you was plain and close. The snow went on falling beyond the curtains. The warmth of the fire below came up through the floor, a steady, settled heat. The radiator ticked once more, and then went quiet. The candle burned without wavering, its flame small and steady. Shadows moved on the wall, slow and easy. You watched them for a moment. Your breathing had already begun to slow. The body doing what it knows to do when nothing's asking otherwise. Tomorrow, the year would change. But tomorrow could take care of itself. Tonight, there was only this room, this weight of the quilt, the snow outside still falling. The sounds of the inn beneath you, the murmur of the fire, the distant creak of the building settling into the cold, grew quieter and softer as you descended. Your eyes closed. The room had held enough tired people to know what to do. The dark was complete. Out there the cold went on, and you let it. And the snow went on falling, and you went on sleeping, and the night was long and still. If you're still with me, somewhere warm in this inn at the end of the year, I hope the soup found you, and the fire, and the weight of the quilt. Come back whenever the road feels long. There'll always be a light in the window, and another quiet place waiting. Good night.